Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Trained with the Akatsuki, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Join my membership, the perks are great. It's in the description. There are so many fighting styles, and I only know very few. But of the few I know, I can still put them to use, even mix them to create my own. 10-10 explained to Neji, Ketsu, and Guy as they dashed through the forest already on the next mission. That's very interesting, but stop. Guy shouted as they all came to an abrupt halt. Listen. He put his right hand to his corresponding ear. Sounds like, Neji said. Shush, they're listening to us as well. Ketsu said. He put his hands together forming a few hand seals. Maimei no jutsu. Ketsu whispered, completely disappearing. I must admit, I didn't expect him to be this good. Guy said, I know that he will find them, then we rush in to help him, as for now, stay quiet. The booming sound of the waterfall surrounding the cliff Naruto was on gave him the solitude he needed. He felt calm, as if he had escaped from reality, just for a few moments. But he knew in his heart that he would eventually have to face one of the only people he could actually even come close to calling friend. Even the solitude could not make him forget that. It staggered in his mind, like a sharp pain that wouldn't go away. It was broad daylight. The scenery was beautiful beyond words. There were 3 waterfalls surrounding the one huge natural pillar still standing in the middle of it. The space on the pillar was about 15 feet by 15 feet. Naruto just sat at the edge letting his legs hang. The pillar was extremely tall, at least 100 feet. At the very bottom, was a lake, where the 3 waterfalls surrounding the pillar spilled into. The water was so clear, so shiny. Naruto just sat, staring at the very bottom, twirling a blue twig made completely of chakra in his hands. Occasionally, he would make it disappear and reappear in his other hand. There was another cliff, about 10 feet away from the pillar where Naruto was. That cliff had the 3 streams where the waterfalls would come down from. In between the streams was complete rock. The big cliff led on for miles outwards, as far as the eye could see. I suppose you like to come up here sometimes too, huh? A very familiar voice said, startling Naruto completely. Naruto turned around to find the very person he didn't want to ever see again, Guru. What are you doing here? Naruto asked, not moving. I like to come here a little. It's pretty nice. What about you? I needed to think about some things. But now that you're here, Naruto said, stopping in mid-sentence. You what? Guru asked. I can't let you go. Naruto finished standing up facing Guru. The blue-haired shinobi only laughed and said, you want to get beaten so soon that bad, huh? I'll tell you what, since I'm merciful, I'll let you go, but just for this time. The next time, we'll have a match just like we did 3 days ago. No. Well, if you insist, I guess I could beat you again if you want it that bad. Guru said, smiling. You won't win this time. Naruto said with a cold, solemn voice. Oh, what makes you so sure? Because, this time, it's not just a duel. This time, it's serious. I have to bring you back. Bring me back. What? Where? To who? Guru asked, looking extremely confused. That's not information I'm allowed to address. The matter is, that we are going to battle, right here, right now. Come at me with all you've got, because, if I win, you won't live. Naruto said. What? So one moment we're having fun, and the next, it's a death match. Well, this is pretty sudden. But I can see that you're not joking. If you say so, I will give it my all, but you won't come out of this alive. I'm giving you one chance, no more, back down, or you will I can't let you go. Naruto said again. I'm very sorry, but it is my obligation and my duty as what I am, to do this. You won't win, but please, don't go easy on me at all. One simple mistake, and it's your life here. Are you ready? Naruto asked, getting ready to fight. Just 1 second. Guru said as he pulled out 2 belts from inside his robe, each holding about 15 weights in them. He threw them down into the lake way below them. The splash went very high, and then Guru positioned himself ready to fight. Yeah, now I'm ready, let's start. Guru ran 2 steps, and jumped up into the air, practically disappearing with the speed he was going at. He put his hands together and shouted, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Poof! Only one Bunshin appeared and it pushed away against Guru's foot. The Bunshin flew towards the large cliff, disappearing as it went into one of the waterfalls. The Guru, left still in the air, came down and attempted to land a sidekick to Naruto's head. He blocked with his left arm and pushed Guru far back, even off the tall pillar they were on. Guru was now in the air, about to fall. Suddenly, another Naruto quickly came up from under Guru and his back with AK. Ah! Guru shouted. The tip of the dagger appeared through Guru's robe, staining it with his B. Poof! The Naruto in the air disappeared as Guru was left alone in the air with his eyes wide open and AK in his body. Poof! The Guru in the air went away with a few clouds of smoke and nobody was nowhere to be seen. What? Naruto asked, completely confused. But before he could react, 2 hands grabbed his ankles from under him. Guru was in the ground. Always have a backup plan. Now doesn't that sound familiar? Guru asked, smiling. Don't play around with me. Naruto shouted angrily. Kai! Boom! Naruto exploded, destroying the tip of the pillar as well as the Bunshin of Guru that was holding his ankles. That was a Bunshin too. How could that be? Naruto asked, appearing on top of the pillar once again. Just like you created 4, I created just as many. Oh, by the way, the other one is gone. Guru's voice said. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Naruto shouted, looking around. You can tell, can't you? Guru said, half laughing. Where are you? Here. Guru appeared right behind Naruto, wrapping his right arm around Naruto's neck, and placing it on his left bicep. Guru's left hand came behind Naruto's head and pushed down with his right hand on his left. This will make you fall asleep in a few seconds. Guru said. That's all I need. Naruto said. Naruto quickly jerked his 2 arms straight out in front of him. Guru was caught off guard. His eyes widened at Naruto's genius move. He noticed that in each of Naruto's fingers were chakra strings. And by jerking his arms straight out, he activated the bee trap that Guru had fallen right into. Just then, hundreds of K appeared from the sky, going straight for Guru and Naruto. Guru let go of Naruto and tried to escape. But he then realized that he couldn't move his feet. He looked down, and he wasn't able to move his feet. Found yourself glued to the ground just like last time, haven't you? Naruto asked. Now it was his turn to smile. You planned this, but it was too late. The K connected, and there were 2 puffs. The real Naruto appeared from inside the pillar. He got out of the ground and said, there were 5 Bunshins. Just so you know, but I see that my plan failed. So where are you really? Because truthfully, this is my real self. We are both fighting with strategy. The question is, who thought back far enough? There is only 1 Bunshin left, and then your plan is gone. If that fails, what are you going to do next? Make more Bunshins. How about you let me worry about that? Guru said, appearing right in front of him. Yeah, another Guru said, appearing behind him. Poof, that Guru disappeared. Now it's just you and me, so let's get serious, shall we? Guru asked. Who said I wasn't serious in the first place? Naruto asked. Then he stood still, and Guru watched, as Naruto's eyes went to the back of his head, so that there was only completely white. Now, Guru shouted, rushing at Naruto. He punched his opponent, but it only disappeared with smoke. He looked around and saw that there were lots and lots of Narutos standing sideways on the large cliff that carried the 3 waterfalls. They all were standing still with their eyes all white. What is this? Guru asked. Poof, 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 poof. The rest of Guru's Bunshins disappeared from within the pillar. Then Naruto's Bunshins did the same. Just evening the odds out a little bit. He said. Now the numbers are the same. Now they both stood on the pillar, facing each other just like they had before. Basically nothing happened, we just wasted our chakra and were right back where we started. Guru said, stating the obvious. Well, I guess we're going to have to try different things, aren't we? Naruto said, panting. You know what? You're right, I guess I should step up even more. But it won't be fair, seeing as how you wasted unnecessary chakra on that last move just to destroy a few buncheons. So this will probably end it. Guru said. He stood up straight, and brought his right hand to his mouth. He bit his thumb so that B came out. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He took a deep breath once more. Naruto just stood there and watched as Guru formed a set of hand seals with his eyes still closed. Kuchio's no jutsu, he said softly. He squatted down and still with his eyes closed he lightly placed his hand on the ground. For a few seconds, nothing happened, and Naruto still just stood there, watching in confusion at what Guru was going to do. Then, after a little while longer, a little more bit of patience, a lime green chakra surrounded Guru's hand. The same color chakra that he had when he went demon. Then, the green chakra left his hand and circled around constantly in the air in front of both of them, forming what seemed to be the shape of a dog. Naruto waited more and saw that the chakra was actually created something. Yes, that was his summon, a wolf. The wolf was pretty big for a normal wolf. It went up to Guru's chest. And he was a full-grown adult. The aspect that this wolf had that no other ordinary would have was its two horns on the top of its head. Okami-sama, I'm glad you could come. Guru said, finally standing up after opening his eyes and bowing. Anything for a friend. I can already sense that you're having a bit of trouble. Okami said, looking straight at Naruto. Not really, I just want to end this, it's a fight to the death. Apparently he wants to take me back or something like that. Guru said, shrugging his shoulders. Yes, I think I've heard something like that. The Akatsuki. But there's no way that a simple boy could be part of that organization of only S-rank criminals, the wolf said. Don't be so sure. Naruto said. I suppose that since you will S, then there's no harm in telling. You are one of the last few people who have demons inside of them. What we do is, we capture those people, and extract the demons from them. It results in death of the victim. That is why we need you. But how you are able to control yours is a mystery to me. Naruto said, finally revealing his true intentions. Well, some people call it a curse, in fact, most people do. But I see it as a gift that I am blessed with. Okami-sama here was sealed inside of me by my grandfather, who happened to be Okami's master. Together, my grandfather and Okami rampaged through nations, ruling everything. Until a fatal disease came upon my grandfather. As a baby, of course, I had no choice to accept him or not. But I was the only last hope to carry on my grandfather's legacy. So he handed Okami to me. I grew up with my mom, just until she was K because they thought that she was under the influence of Okami. She was trying to help me escape the village I was in. We were wanted both of us. So me and Okami grew up together, training together, learning from each other. Guru explained. And that's why I can't let you just take my life, and my one true companion away from me. What about your father? I mean, why didn't your grandfather give the wolf to him? Naruto asked. His father was one of the men who tried to stop his grandfather from taking over, so he was K. That's all there is to it. So what's the plan, Guru? Okami asked. The same routine. Guru said, wiping his hands. Then he jumped on top of Okami's back. Let's go. The wolf shouted. He jumped in the air and disappeared. I've got to watch out for this one, it's 2 against 1, Naruto said very cautiously. He was wearing regular shinobi clothes, so he didn't look like an Akatsuki member at all. They reappeared to Naruto's left in the air. But this time, Guru was standing on Okami's back. Naruto barely caught a glimpse of Guru jumping off the wolf and then both of them disappearing once more. Okami appeared behind Naruto trying to swipe his head off with his large paws. But Naruto was able to dodge it easily and he jumped up to the very top of the cliff. In between 2 of the streams that led to the waterfalls. Guru appeared on the pillar next to Okami, they both just looked up at Naruto. I think if you were going to try a little harder, maybe I should too. Naruto shouted over the roar of the water. I'm going to use nature as my advantage. Naruto then said to himself. He formed a set of hand seals then shouting, Mizu Gyujiru no Jutsu. Then, the waterfalls stopped. Just stopped moving, they stayed exactly where they were, down to the last drop. Oh, shoot, Guru said as he jumped up on Okami's back. Fishy-san, this one's for you. Naruto said as he threw his hands forward and the water started moving again. Except this time, 50 times faster, and in the exact direction of Naruto's opponents. A split second before the water clashed with the pillar, Okami with Garou on his back jumped up and appeared above. Naruto lifted his arms and the water rose, still maintaining the same speed towards the wolf and shinobi. If the only way you can go is up, then it's over. You'll have to come down eventually. But when Naruto finished talking, he noticed something. He saw Okami, but where was Garou? Looking for me, but he was off as the water enveloped him right behind Naruto. Naruto still concentrated on getting the demon though. Naruto raised his left arm and a thick strand of water connected from his arm straight to Okami. Mizu Gokisha. The water strand expanded into a ball and surrounded the wolf. Now you are trapped in my water prison. Oceanic coffin. The water ball prison that Okami was in just compacted and completely crushed him so that he disappeared with a poof. Garou washed up on top of the pillar completely soaked, but still alive and conscious. As I said before, go all out. But you didn't listen to the words I said. Now, it will be over soon, you will have the demon extracted, and you will be gone, deprived from life, and your precious pet. Naruto said coldly. You're wrong. Because I'll never give up. I won't lose this battle. I can't. I just can't. My life is not what's most valuable to me. It's my friend, Okami. If I give him to you, then he'll just be used for power. And I won't let that happen. Why are you doing this? You fight for what you believe in. You fight to keep your one true companion alive. Is that wrong? Naruto asked, shouting. The water was completely stopped now. No, of course not. Then what I'm doing is not wrong either. Don't you see? Why can't you understand? Why can't anybody understand for a change? For once, the Akatsuki is the only life I've ever known, they are my companions, the only people that I could call family. And I fight for them, just like you fight for Okami. We both fight for the same cause. So how can you call what you are doing justified? If what you're doing is the right thing, then so is mine. I have no choice but to do my duty. Naruto shouted. No. How can you even compare our situations? Look at what you are doing. You are capturing people who did nobody any harm. It's not any of our faults that we have demons inside of us. But because of it, we have to suffer. That's what you are doing, you are people just for the sake of power. Can't you see what's going on? They are using you. Garou shouted. That can't be true. Naruto said. We fight for the same causes. I know we do. If you can't see the truth, then I'll beat it into you, I'll make you see the truth. Garou shouted as he jumped up into the air. Your anger has driven you off balance, you cannot win this if you are uncontrollable. Naruto said, remaining calm. Garou landed on top of the still water facing Naruto in fury. What's your goal, huh Naruto? Tell me your goal. I've already told you, it's to bring you back to the Akatsuki alive. Naruto said. Alive huh? So what happens if I do this? Tell me. Garou screamed as he whipped out AK and extended his arms grasping the dagger in both hands. No. Naruto shouted. The K sunk in, B fell to the ground. Both of them were S. The K had gone completely through Naruto's body and into Garou's. What? Why? Garou asked as Naruto pulled the K out of both of them. B. Cause. I have to. Bring. You back. Naruto said with one eye closed and the other half open. His right arm grasped his wound which was now leaking an uncontrollable amount of B. Naruto then grabbed Garou's wrist and let the water move freely, and let nature resume its regular position. I'm taking you back, now. Naruto said as he kneed Garou in the stomach knocking him out. If you put chakra into your blows, they become much stronger. Hold on, stay alive, and I must do the same, Naruto said as he headed back to the Akatsuki base. Jiraiya let the wind blow through his thick white hair. He was on the very tallest rooftop in all of Konoha. Remember when we used to come up here? You, me, and Orochimaru? Jiraiya asked Tsunade who was also standing with him just watching. Of course, it was moments like that I cherished the most. I didn't have exactly the best company, but I was still happy. Boy, have come long ways from when we were kids haven't we? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya said, indicating that he agreed. Anyways, I think I'm going to turn in, it's getting late. Tsunade said as she jumped down from the building and went home. Jiraiya sat there for hours, just about 2 hours before the first tint of dawn. Who's there? There's no need to hide, I can sense you. Jiraiya said, standing up looking around. Well then I suppose I won't leave you with the burden of trying to find me then. My mission is clear anyways. A figure said as it stepped out of the shadows. The person was wearing a completely black cloak, with a black hood. Nothing was seen except clothes. Until the person put down its hood. It was a man, brown-haired man. He had dark blue eyes and that was basically all that was even remotely protruding. Who are you? And why are you here? Jiraiya asked, frowning. My name is Amatari Sora. And I've come looking for one of the 3 Sannin, goes by the name of Jiraiya. I presume you are the one. And if I am, then your time has come. Sora said, getting ready to fight. Do you know who you are dealing with? They don't call us the 3 Sannin for nothing. Jiraiya said, attempting to intimidate his opponent. Sora made no facial expression change whatsoever. Your time has come, he repeated. Very well, Jiraiya said. Sora rushed in, throwing a couple of kunai at Jiraiya's feet. But he simply jumped high up into the air. Now why would you want to throw it at my feet? Jiraiya asked out of curiosity. To get you right where I want you, in the air. Sora said, right under Jiraiya. He jumped up right after his opponent, pulling out another kunai. Jiraiya looked down quickly and moved slightly back so Sora could come up level with him. As soon as his opponent was in front of him, he was about to give him a kick to push himself away, until a second Sora grabbed his arms from behind and held him still. Meanwhile, the Sora with the K drove the double-edged weapon into Jiraiya's stomach. Then they both backed away and landed at the same time along with their B opponent. Jiraiya clutched his stomach with both hands and said, "Ah, how did I fall for an easy trick?" Sora, still keeping the exact same expression, said, "You didn't." Poof. That Jiraiya disappeared and the real Jiraiya came out from the same place that Sora was in before. Who do you work for? Jiraiya said, throwing 2K at both Soras. Both K just went through them. Sora said nothing. What village are you from? Jiraiya asked. His opponent still said nothing. Well, maybe this will make you talk. He shouted as he rushed in between both Soras and tried to kick both of them at the same time. But his legs just simply went through them, just like the K before him. The weird thing was, both Soras caught his legs while they were still inside of them. What? Jiraiya shouted as he attempted to push off their hands, but it was no use, they just grabbed his ankles and held on tight so Jiraiya couldn't escape. Instead, Jiraiya put his hands on the floor so that he was now upside down with his legs extended outwards to his sides. Then he picked up his legs along with the Soras who were still holding on. After he had both his opponents and his legs in the air, he pushed off the ground with his hands so that they were now all in the air. Jiraiya continued to ascend with his opponents grasping his ankles. He then began to do flips to rise him even higher in the air. Once he was high enough, he bit his thumb and then formed hand seals in each hand. Then he squatted down and open-handedly struck each of the Sora's heads. Kuchio's no jutsu. Jiraiya shouted. Poof. Then his hands on his opponent's head suddenly turned into dragon heads that now had Sora's heads in its mouths. But even without their heads, the cloaked bodies still held on. They didn't disappear, they didn't move or change position at all. Jiraiya, now with dragon heads as hands landed back on the ground, the beast still holding on. What kind of trick is this? Jiraiya asked, looking around. It's not a trick, Tsunade said as she appeared behind a statue. Tsunade, you are in this? Jiraiya asked. As am I, Ketsu shouted. He was behind Jiraiya. Ketsu, that can't be possible, Jiraiya said almost with tears in his eyes. All my life you treated me like your son. And I told you that I never needed a father. Well, I have news for you, I found my father. And I don't need you any longer. You've just been a burden to me. Ketsu shouted, screaming. Jiraiya just stared at the person he had been training for 10 years. He was silent for a moment, then started laughing. Had enough fun yet? I know I have. Release me from this genjutsu. What if I don't? Sora's voice said, coming from no particular location. You're trapped either way. The real Jiraiya said behind Sora, who was using genjutsu on a Bunshin. Sora looked around and saw that there were Jiraiyas everywhere, on top of every building, all of them facing Sora. The Jiraiya under the trance finally recovered and joined the crowd. How do you expect to win? One of the Jiraiya's asked him. But Sora still kept quiet. He just started with one of the Jiraiya's working his way up, through each of them with his K. After countless failed attempts to even lay a hand on Sora, everybody stopped. That was your first mistake. Kuchio's no jutsu. Jiraiya shouted as all of the Jiraiya's left formed the same number of hand seals after biting their thumb. Then they hit the ground and with a puff came a large frog each the size of Jiraiya himself. There was one frog for every Jiraiya. The Jiraiya's jumped on top of the frogs and they all charged directly at Sora. Sora jumped up so that everybody would clash together, then he stepped on the heads of some of his opponents at them so they would disappear. Let's stop this, what do you want? Jiraiya asked after the rest of him had been defeated. You'll be, Sora said. A little suspicious, don't you think? Jiraiya asked with a smile. That's why I can't leave you alive. This may come back to bite me. Sora said. I see, Jiraiya said, scratching his chin. Sora then looked up at the sky, squinted a little, then looked directly at Jiraiya again. I am going to have to end this now. Feel lucky that you have made it this far. Usually, people that are very, very skilled fall at the genjutsu. And if not, it's over after I defeat them with simple taijutsu. But you have gotten past all of that. But there is one thing that nobody has ever survived, and only a few have survived to see it. So consider yourself a real shinobi, but the road for you ends here. Sora said. Then he lifted up his right sleeve up to his bicep. And then he lifted up his left sleeve to reveal the most unusual thing Jiraiya had ever seen. Sora's left arm appeared to be made of what looked like black rock. But with cracks all over it. The cracks were very noticeable, for they gave off a small bit of light. The light was orange. His arm looked like a volcano. Totally normal except the texture. What is that? Jiraiya asked, frowning and staring intently. My clan's blood limit. Now it ends here, Sora said as he lifted up both his arms with open hands. Suddenly, a very bright white light appeared floating in Sora's left hand. He then cupped the small light with both his hands for a moment, then brought them back down. This time, there were two lights, one in each hand. Let's see how long you can last, Sora said, smiling as he threw the small light with his right hand. As soon as it left his hand, it immediately replenished. It didn't even take a second. The light sped straight toward Jiraiya's head. He barely managed to dodge it by a few inches. But the light circled back again and again. Jiraiya moved around, jumped around, and dashed around, the light would still follow him. Until finally he managed to pick up a large rock the size of his fists combined, and threw it at the light. As soon as they both collided, the rock disintegrated completely. And the light was gone. So that's what it does, huh? Jiraiya asked, panting. That was just one, let's see how long you can last, when they just keep coming. This doesn't waste any of my chakra, and I can keep throwing them as they automatically follow your head. They won't stop until they've hit a target. They're fast too, so how long can you last? Sora asked again. This time, he constantly threw more lights straight at his opponent, not stopping even for a moment's break. They just kept coming and replenishing. Meanwhile on Jiraiya's end, he knew that he would not be able to dodge much more. He had to be alert for each one that came and followed him. He had very few options. First, there were no rocks on the roof, the first one he found was a fluke. Second, they kept coming, and he couldn't get rid of them. His only alternative was to lead him directly toward the person supplying the attack, Sora. He swiftly dodged his way over to his opponent, carefully moving back and forth, side to side, doing flips in the air and rolling on the ground just to avoid the lights. When he was just a few feet away from Sora, he saw that his opponent was now doing something different. Can you take this? Sora shouted in fury as he put his hands together and a light 4 times larger than the rest headed even faster toward him. Jiraiya could not make this, he had hundreds of lights after him, as well as one very large one. He knew this was the end, but he wouldn't leave empty-handed. Boom! Jiraiya sacrificed his left leg with an exploding tag to get rid of half the lights. He made his way over to Sora and grasped his cloak. He then shouted, Kai! As the exploding tags on Jiraiya's hands which were holding Sora activated and exploded. At the same time the lights collided with them and everything was black. Did you acquire it? Said a deep voice. Yes, My lord, Sora said, bowing his head in deep respect. Here it is. He held out a vial full of bee inside. The frog Senon's bee. Perfect. Now we only need one more. Sunad asked as she banged her hands on the desk, crushing it into pieces from the force. How? Who? What time? Do we have any footage? No, Hokage-sama, there is no footage. The only proof we found was the remains of his body, Shizune reported very tensely. Remains? Sunad asked, frowning. Her voice dropped down to a whisper, as did Shizune's. Yes, they were only able to tell it was him from his bee samples, and his headgear. I'm very sorry. What is on your mind? I'm wondering how Ketsu's going to react. The death of Jiraiya may lead to cause great trouble in the village. Who knows what will become of him now? Sunad said, lay back in her chair. The gates of Konoha opened finally as Guy, Neji, Tenten, and Ketsu passed through them and into the village after a tiring voyage. The sky was dark, and nobody was feeling very joyful. I sense morning, Guy said as he walked off towards the Hokage's building without a word. What are you going to do, Ketsu? Tenten asked right before she left. I must find my sensei, I know he will give me the details as to what's going on here. Ketsu said as he rushed off to find Jiraiya. So what are we to do with Ketsu? When he finds out, he may leave the village. I've seen his power, and I can tell you right now, that he is truly Jiraiya's apprentice. If he decides to massacre some people, I'm sure he can do it without any trouble whatsoever. That boy could probably take on the Anbu single-handedly. We adults will have to step in, and it won't be easy. Guy said. Only time will tell, but for now, Shizune, send a squadron of Anbu members to keep a very close watch on him. But tell him to be unnoticeable, Ketsu might need his space. But don't let him escape this village, and if something happens, tell him to stop him. Sunad informed. Hi, Shizune said, saluting the Hokage. Ketsu looked up at the sky and at the falling rain. His clothes were now completely soaked. He just kept silent, letting the drops fall on him over and over again, not even flinching when one came to his eye. Why don't you come out and stop hiding? Ketsu asked, for he knew he was being pursued. The 6 Anbu members took off the jutsus and appeared on the rooftops as well. Our orders are to keep a close watch on you. One of the Anbu members said. Does Konoha not trust me that much? Ketsu said with a small smile. Well then, I'll show them how I feel. He said as he turned to face them. His smile quickly faded and he started walking toward them. The Anbu members stepped back a bit. We were supposed to intervene if anything were to happen. Like what? Ketsu asked. Don't play dumb, you already know the answer. Well, let me ask you one question. Ketsu said as he stopped just about a foot away from the speaker. What would you do, if you were in my position? The person who was your only friend, a father to you, just suddenly disappeared, totally and the K escaped. Tell me, how would you feel? Ketsu all of a sudden reacted with the last word that he screamed. He drove his fist into the Anbu member's face, sending him fly off the rooftops. One Anbu member jumped off to go get him. The rest of them got in their fighting positions. We will not hesitate to bring you down. A woman's voice shouted. Ketsu sighed. You're right, this was stupid of me, I'm just going to leave this city, for good. We cannot let you do that either, as of now, you are a threat to civilians as well, anybody outside this village. If you cooperate, we will guide you to some living quarters that you may stay in for a few days. But for now, you are restricted to many things, leaving this village above all. The woman said. Again, we will not hesitate to bring you down, you are clearly outnumbered, don't make a stupid decision. Ketsu looked down at the ground, then up at the sky. Then he asked, let me see the remains of him, please let me have at least that much, I wish to say goodbye. They all thought for a moment, then the woman said, very well. But remember, there is not much left of him, so please bear with us. Of course. Ketsu said as he followed them through the village. Tenten saw Ketsu walking by, so she went to walk by him. Ketsu, what's going on? We're going to see the remains of Jiraiya. Ketsu said, not changing his sad facial expression. Tenten gasped and put her hands over her mouth. She remembered that Ketsu came with Jiraiya, and that the old man had said something about being with his apprentice for over 10 years now. She felt pity over Ketsu, so she remained at his side. They finally arrived to a large building. They all entered a series of doors and small rooms. The place felt gloomy and full of death. Until finally they all stopped at a large bronze door. Please, give us some time alone, Ketsu said as he opened the door to a small room which held a small closed coffin. Ten, come. She followed him and into the room they went and the doors closed behind them. I'm so sorry Ketsu, Ten was interrupted by Ketsu who shushed her. This takes patience, I must concentrate, Ketsu said as he opened the coffin to see some bones and rotting flesh along with white hair, ripped clothes, and Jiraiya's headgear. Ten put her hands to her mouth again as tears came down her cheeks. She then witnessed Ketsu place both of his hands slightly over the remains, just so that they weren't touching. All was silent for a moment, then Ketsu whispered with his eyes still closed, Genzu Kg. Ketsu, what are you doing? Ten asked very quietly, however, Ketsu did not answer her, he didn't even budge. He just stayed with his eyes closed for a few more moments. When he finally opened them, his eyes looked red. I'm very tired, he said. I think I'll go to sleep. They left the building and Ten went home. But before they left the room, Ten asked Ketsu what had happened. He only said, if a vulture ka canary, does that give the vulture the right to S as well? But she did not understand what he meant by that. Tsunade-sama. Shizune screamed at the top of her lungs. What is it? Tsunade asked seeming very troubled. She had one look at Shizune's worried face and she knew that Ketsu was gone. Now try your best to recall what he said to you, Tsunade said the next morning while she interrogated Ten. I'm not sure. It was something about a vulture K and then he asked me if it had the right to S, Ten responded. Tsunade thought for a moment, then said, revenge. That's what he wants, but how does he know who K Jiraiya? There is no way to tell. Actually, he performed some sort of jutsu when we were with Jiraiya's remains. Then he looked really tired, and we left. I will go get him back, Shizune said saluting the Hokage. Give me 5 team members and I will bring him back within 3 days. Very well, Tsunade allowed. Boom. An explosion was heard coming from the outside. Then came another, boom, followed by many others. Boom, 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 boom. Everybody went outside to see smoke all over Konoha. It looks like rescuing Ketsu will have to wait. I'm sorry Tsunade-sama, but the village needs our help now, Ten shouted as she and Shizune rushed off to help nearby civilians. Tsunade looked at the sky, then smiled. This is exactly what he planned for. Can I go now? I don't really want to see this part, I never like watching this part, Naruto asked Itachi after he had brought back Garou. Very well, I know that you heal very fast, but you should be careful not to overexert yourself right now, I know that you had many wounds, Itachi said. Itachi-san, don't worry about me, I'll be fine. I'm just going to go around for a while. Naruto wandered into the forest, wondering what he should do. He felt so guilty leaving his friend to S, not even brave enough to witness his last moments. He knew there was no going back now. It was too late. Plus, the Akatsuki was his family, not a random person that he had fought only once, his family had taken care of him. But Naruto still did not know why. He felt fatigued from the battle he had just won, but he didn't feel like he had won it. But that they both lost. He could not look back on this, the more he thought about it, the more he was hurt. Why did he feel like this? He had had missions like this before. So why now? Naruto wandered farther and farther into the forest until he collapsed and knocked out. Ketsu looked around, he didn't want to seem suspicious, but he couldn't but look at when he wore an oversized coat that made him totally hidden. It had been 4 hours since he left the village of Konoha, for good. He didn't ever want to go back there. He just wanted to kill the person responsible for his misery, his depression. By asking around, he had gathered a few clues, well, enough to lead him to his prey. He found out that a man in a black cloak and brown hair had traveled southeast from the town he was last in. It was days ago when they saw him. But he knew that the man would not go straight to his hideout, he would make a few turns to lose followers. So instead of heading southeast, he headed north. The town he was just in up north said that they too had seen him head even more north, about 1 hour ago. Ketsu sped up and tripled his speed. He wanted to be able to catch this K. Ketsu had traveled around this area before. Before him and Jiraiya came to Konoha, before the incident had happened, when Ketsu's life was good with just him and his sensei training day and night, doing missions constantly to get money. Ketsu could remember it as clear as day, the memory he had when he learned a very precious jutsu, handed on from the fourth to Jiraiya to him. It was a few years ago, when Ketsu was about 12 years old. They were both on a mission, but their only suspect was murdered. So Jiraiya asked to see the body, and it was there when he taught Ketsu the jutsu. Genzu Kenji. The jutsu was not hard to learn, but Ketsu could not use it very well. The first few times he tried were failed attempts. But he didn't give up, he kept on trying and practicing. Genzu Kenji, the ability to witness the person's death from a third-person view. A truly amazing jutsu, but it had its consequences. Using the jutsu would quickly drain the chakra of the user and make their eyes completely red, giving them some kind of hangover, unable to focus, or use other jutsus properly. Of course, it wore off after 2 hours. Ketsu could not believe it, the man still managed to escape even after all the sacrifices and pain Jiraiya had to go through. Jiraiya had the tightest grip on the cloak, and exploding tags on his hands which were right near the man's face. But the man pulled off his cloak at the last moment, then whipping out AK finishing Jiraiya off by slitting the throat. This was the end that Ketsu would and could never forget. Now Ketsu was on his own, nobody to guide him, nobody to stay beside him, he was all alone. What would he do when he had his revenge? The question lingered in Ketsu's mind, but he was on a one-way track, he decided to face the problem when he got there. He was not worried about being able to go-K the man, even if his sensei couldn't do it, he figured he somehow could. He recalled that he had beaten Jiraiya in exactly 6 duels in his whole life. Out of the hundreds that they had had. But thinking was over, for his opponent was right in front of him. Naruto opened his eyes slowly. He saw Kyosaku and Ru standing over him looking down on him. Even before any first thoughts could run through Naruto's mind, Kyosaku squatted down and grabbed Naruto's Akatsuki collar lifting him up as she screamed, "Where the hell did you take him? Tell us or I swear I will K you." The red-haired pirate let go of him so Naruto fell back down to the floor. He got up slowly, and brushed himself off. Then he remembered all that had just happened. He knew that they wouldn't take it well, he knew that they wouldn't let him go. It all came down to battle, but he wasn't sure if he could take them both in his poor condition. But he couldn't hold it in any longer, he had to tell the truth. I took him, I can't say where, but it's hopeless now. He's probably and I'm the cause of his death. Naruto bowed his head in shame. Just then, he felt the cold staff as it bashed his cheek and sent him flying back into a tree. Just tell us where he is. That saves us time, and it saves your life. Ru said very seriously. Why? What are you going to do if I tell you? Naruto asked, fearing the worst. What do you think we're going to do? We will go get him back. Kyosaku shouted. No, you can't, he's probably right now, there is a very, 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 tiny chance that he's still alive. Also, if he is alive, then you won't be able to get him back. You fought me and Ketsu, and you 3 couldn't beat us. Now imagine, it's just you 2, and there's 9 Akatsuki members, each of them stronger than me. And, since I am part of the clan, it will be my obligation to stop you as well. I care for you guys, and I already made a mistake, I can't let you guys share the same fate as Guru. It's already too late for him. Naruto said almost with tears in his eyes. That doesn't matter, we have to get him back, you don't understand, he is our team member, so tell us where he is and step aside. Ru said holding out his staff pointing directly at Naruto. Instead, Naruto stepped more in the way, glaring at them. I'm sorry, but I won't let you pass from here on. You'll have to go through me, I can't let you guys Then we will have to beat the information out of you. Ru shouted as he jumped forward attempting to strike Naruto many times at him 10 times per second. Naruto was in bad condition, but he was still fast, he was able to dodge everyone as well as gain distance in order to give a hard kick to Ru's face. It was Kyosaku's turn, she ran behind Naruto and put him in a headlock. Ru stood up and continuously thwacked Naruto's face with his staff. Now tell us, Kyosaku shouted letting Naruto go. No, I don't care, if you K me. But I will never tell you where he is. Naruto said. Where who is? Guru asked from behind a tree. What? Naruto shouted in disbelief. Guru, Ru and Kyozaku both shouted at the same time, running to him. I'm sorry Naruto, but I was able to escape. Please, I know you didn't want to do this in the first place, so can you act like you never saw me? I have my life to live, you know. Guru asked. Naruto sighed, then smiled a bit. Yeah. I can. Thanks, let's go guys, we've got some battles to interfere with. Guru said happily as the Tenushi took off into the forest. Naruto decided to head back, and act like nothing had happened. Stop! Ketsu shouted to the person in a black cloak running away in front of him. The man with brown hair stopped, then turned around to face Ketsu. You K him. How could you? Ketsu shouted in fury. Sora smiled. My name is Sora Kid, and you must be referring to the frog Sanin, huh? Well, if that's the case, then you are right. What have you come here for? Revenge. What makes you think you can win if he didn't? I have to give him credit though, he was the second toughest person I've ever faced. He was very good, but not good enough. Who is the toughest that you've ever fought? Ketsu asked. Ignorance, Sora said, but without explaining, he simply went on. Look, what do you want? As you said before, revenge. Ketsu took off the cloak so that now he was visible. You're just a boy. How can you stand against me? Sora asked. If you fight, I will K you, no problem. So run away, little bug, so insignificant you are, grow up strong, then you can make a difference in this world. Don't come and try to end your life already. Sora said, mocking Ketsu, which only made him angrier. You don't know anything about me. Rasengan. Ketsu formed 2 Rasengans in his hand as he threw them at his opponent. Sora simply punched them back at Ketsu, who was now running towards him with 2 more Rasengans, except this time, they were both small and red. Ketsu dodged his own blue chakra spheres heading against him, and jumped in the air. But before jumping, he threw one of the Bomu Rasengans at Sora, then threw the other once high above him. Sora looked back and saw another Ketsu throwing 2 of the red spheres. There were now 4 of them coming straight at him. He knew these were different from the first ones, but he didn't know what. He decided to find out by letting them hit him. It couldn't do too much damage, after all, Ketsu was just a boy. Boom, 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 the 4th explosion did not come. Both Ketsus regrouped and panting both looked at their opponent through the black smoke surrounding the air. Sora was not wearing the black cloak anymore, it had burned off. Instead, he was wearing what looked to be like a tight suit that fit his muscular appearance perfectly. It was also all black. Sora clutched his side as a small stain of B appeared. He then looked at the 2 Ketsus. He smiled as he said, impressive, but that was very dumb of me on my part. So don't get too excited. It appears I greatly underestimated you. I didn't know little kids were capable of this power. But that's the only scratch you'll get on me. You're already doing better than the frog Sanin before you. Keep it up, if you can. As soon as he had finished his sentences, he rushed at Ketsu with amazing speed. Before the Ketsus could react, he was already in between them, facing sideways at one of them with his mouth open. Out came the Bomu Rasengan that had not exploded. It hit Ketsu and blew him up with extreme force. The other Ketsu was knocked back by the explosion. Whoa, it looks as if I was very lucky on that one. Lucky that you picked the fake me. I'm surprised you hid it in your mouth, Ketsu said, facing Sora once more. Thank you. But what are you going to do now that you are the only one left? We'll see. Ketsu then jumped in the air. Sora followed right after him. What Sora didn't see was that Ketsu was holding a clear string in his hand that connected to the grass on the ground. As soon as Sora had reached high enough into the air, Ketsu pulled the string, springing a trap that sent hundreds of blades and K into the air straight at Sora. Poof! A tree trunk appeared in Sora's stead. Kawarimi no Jutsu, the oldest trick in the book. Ketsu shouted as he looked behind him. Sora was already there, giving a backhand strike to Ketsu's face, sending him flying high into the air. Sora followed after him again, striking Ketsu along the way to make him go higher. But Ketsu managed to block one of Sora's kicks, then he grabbed Sora's leg and swung him even higher than himself. When Ketsu landed, Sora was still in the air coming down, which then gave Ketsu the advantage. Kuchio's no Jutsu. A large frog twice the size of Sora appeared and swallowed the brown-haired man right up. But it wasn't enough to stop him. Just a few seconds later, the frog turned around to face Ketsu, and it exploded, its insides flying everywhere. There was Sora, full of frog bee, smiling. Well, I can see that didn't work, but maybe this will. Ketsu shouted as he formed many hand seals rushing at Sora. Hyohen no Jutsu. Suddenly, hundreds of long thin ice shards gathered all around Sora, pointing directly at him. They all looked like very thin spears made out of glimmering ice. Kai! Ketsu shouted. Every single ice spear flew at extreme speeds at its opponent. Sora simply spun around many times, creating a barrier of wind. The ice spears just shattered to dust particles when clashing with the barrier. Ketsu then created an ice spear in his hand and threw it straight at Sora's head. But Sora, still with a smile, said, "Guka Ibuki." Then he opened his mouth and smoke came out with his breath. The ice melted as soon as it came in contact with the smoke. The only thing that hit Sora was cold water. Refreshing. Sora said, wiping the water off of his face. Why? Ketsu screamed, why won't you? Because you can't K me. Can't you understand that? You didn't use your head, you just came here seeking revenge. You should have trained, years and years, before even thinking about confronting me. But you were too busy thinking that you could do it right now. You're not even close to my strength. So, the question is, what will you do now? Because now, I need to get back. I'm tired of playing around. I will still defeat you. Ketsu said, gritting his teeth. Sora disappeared and reappeared behind Ketsu, grabbing a hold of his left arm, bringing it behind his back, and upwards. Ketsu screamed in pain as his arm went out of its socket and over his head behind him. Sora then kicked Ketsu's legs, knocking him on the ground. Stop, said a very familiar voice. Ketsu turned his head and through his squinted eyes he saw one person that he never had expected, the Hokage of Konoha. Tsunade! Ketsu shouted. He got up and watched as the blonde-haired woman passed Ketsu and went over to Sora. What's the status on the village? Sora asked Tsunade. Ketsu set traps, so that nobody would follow him, so Konoha is damaged at this point in time, very vulnerable to attacks. What is the status on Jiraiya and the Kyuubi boy? Mission accomplished, and as of the demon, I was on my way, until I was interrupted. Sora informed her. What are you doing? Ketsu shouted. Tsunade. Shut up. The woman you know as Tsunade, has been since she was first elected to be Hokage. Tsunade said. What? Ketsu asked, extremely confused. Then, the woman who appeared to be the Hokage, suddenly just transformed, in less than a second. It was a man, skinny but muscular. He had long black hair, and he wore the exact same thing Sora wore, the tight suit that fit him well. But this man wore gloves. Ketsu was speechless, and he knew that all hope for him to win, to revenge his sensei, was lost. Do you need any help, Sora-san? The new person asked. No thanks, I'll be fine, just go back, I'll finish things here. Sora said, patting the man on the back, dismissing him. The man left, leaving Ketsu with his broken arm, and Sora, to face each other in silence. Now, it's time to finish this, Sora said. He rushed towards Ketsu again, this time giving the 15-year-old boy 2 high kicks to the chin, sending Ketsu directly into the air. He followed straight after, punching and kicking Ketsu even more. Ketsu was beat from his ears and face when he fell to the ground. Ketsu looked at the figure in the distance through his tears of bee and water. Sora placed his foot lightly on Ketsu's head, about to crush it, until Naruto arrived. Ketsu! Naruto shouted. What are you doing to him? Sora only smiled. Well, look who it is. If it isn't the Kyuubi boy. It's Naruto. And let Ketsu go. I'll K you. Naruto shouted, already ready to engage in battle. Hey, calm down, I didn't know brotherly love was this strong. Sora said. What? Naruto and Ketsu both said at the same time. So I see you didn't know until now. Well, I guess you didn't know that you both are 2 of the last 3 Uzumaki family members there are on this earth. The rest are S. That can't be true. Naruto said with his head down. Don't give me more problems. He said with tears in his eyes as well. He was so angry, that he was screaming. Ha, 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 ha. I love moments like this. Did you think you had any business here? I'm about to K my opponent, so if you'll excuse me, Sora said. I said don't touch him. Naruto screamed. Suddenly, a red aura of chakra started to form around Naruto. His teeth grew into fangs, and his nails into claws. Well, it looks that my boss might be happier if I bring you back with me now, won't he? But I can assure you that, Sora was see off as Naruto his fist into Sora's face, sending him skidding across the ground 50 feet away. Sora was still for a moment, then got up. His jaw was hanging, for Naruto had already broken it. Sora's eyes looked very angry. Even though his jaw was hanging, his facial expression was terrifying. But Naruto just ran after him, punching him again, but this time in the stomach. Instead of sending him back through the air, Naruto had made a hole through Sora's body. Naruto took out his B-arm, and with his right clean hand, Sora and his opponent went flying once again. Sora stood laying on his back, looking up at Naruto, who was already at his side. Sora lifted up his left rocky arm, and shot a light ball straight at Naruto's face. But the light disintegrated even before touching Naruto. Naruto then finished Sora off by crushing his skull with his fist. Naruto stood up, looking around angrily, still in demon form. Just then, Itachi, Kisame, Sasori, and Deidara all came and held Naruto so that he couldn't move. They were then all gone in a flash. Before Ketsu went unconscious, he saw Kyosuke and Ru looking down on him. They too were very beat up, but not like himself. They took his beaten body away, to be taken care of, under their supervision. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.